Hello, welcome to Postcolonial Space. I'm Masood Raja, and today I am briefly recording this video as a supplement to my earlier recording on Edward Said's Orientalism Introduction Part 1. And you can, of course, watch that whole video to learn more about what we did in that conversation. But a viewer had posed a question through the comments about the significance of the term surrogate that I had mentioned in my lecture as a possible thesis of the book. And what the sentence says is, and I'll read it here in a minute, it also tries to show, and this is Said talking about the book, that European culture gained in strength and identity by setting itself off against the Orient as a sort of surrogate and even underground self. So the question was, what does the term surrogate specifically mean within the context of this sentence and the book? So one thing that comes clear in this sentence and in this thesis sentence is that what Said is suggesting is that the European identity is oppositional. Right? It's not substantial. It relies on something else to define itself and gain its strength. How do we do that if you create an other? So within the discourse of Orientalism, then, the Arabs and the Orient is this other. The way it becomes a surrogate or underground self is because it, in a way, births, right? Carries the birth of the stabilization of the European identity. So if you go by the literal definition of surrogate or surrogacy, I mean, it means when one thing substitutes another. And in medical sense, it's the practice of one woman carrying the embryo of another couple and carrying it to term. And that's the popular term that people understand these days. That's what is called surrogacy. So if we agree that self and creation of it and sustenance of it relies on an outside and this other, then the Orient within the discourse of Orientalism is this surrogate self, this surrogate culture, right, which is absolutely necessary for Europe to sustain its own idea by positing all the negative aspects of human experience onto the Orient, right? So if Europeans want to claim they are civilized, they are disciplined, they are reserved, they can then plant the opposites of these things onto the Orient. They are sensual, they are despotic, right? They are static, where Europe imagines itself to be constantly on the move. But in order to sustain that idea of cultural self and individual selves, right, they need this other, right, that can offer all the negative attributes against which they can posit their positive attributes. So that's what, roughly speaking, I think it means, the term surrogate within the context of Said's thesis. I hope this clarifies the question. If not, please feel free to post in the comments. But I do encourage you to watch the first lecture in this series and then continue following us, because I'll be recording more and more readings of Said's Orientalism. Remember, it's a very ambitious project. We are going to read Orientalism word by word. I don't know when we'll be done with it, but I think it's worth the effort. So that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for always being there for me. And please do take a moment to subscribe. I would love to hear from you. And I would love to have you as part of my virtual family in the world. So that's all I have to say today. Thank you so much. And I will see you next time. Until then, as always, peace and love.